Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
The Delhi High Court is currently hearing petitions that demand that same-sex marriages should be allowed. And for this, they rely on several provisions of the Constitution. So my first KYC or Know Your Constitution episode this week is about the arguments that the petitioners have raised so far. Now, in the 2018 Navteej Singh Johar judgment, as we know, the Supreme Court decriminalized consensual sexual conduct between adults of the same sex, essentially by reading down Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. But the legal battle through petitions in the High Court now is for civil rights for the LGBTQI community, because we don't have laws that specifically recognize, say, marriage or divorce or insurance for the community. Now, one of the petitions in the High Court has been filed by two Delhi-based mental health professionals, Dr. Kavita Arora and Ankita Khanna. According to their petition, they have been living together for the past 8 years. The petition says, and I quote, "The petitioners are like any other couple you might meet, except they're both women." They have now demanded a declaration that the Special Marriage Act applies to all couples, regardless of their gender identity and sexual orientation. Now, the petition essentially contends that Article 21 of the Constitution also protects the right to marry a person of one's choice. The text of Article 21 says, "No person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law." But over the years, this right to life and personal liberty has been expanded to include several other rights, including the right to privacy, the right to live with dignity, the right to pollution-free water and air, and like the petitioners have said, the right to marry a person of your own choice. So essentially, now they're trying to extend this argument to apply to same-sex couples, just as it applies to couples of the opposite sex. Now, we also have another landmark judgment that the petitioners have cited. This is the right to privacy verdict, and the petitioners have asserted that right to privacy is not just the right to be left alone, but also extends to protecting an individual's interests in making vital personal choices like the right to abort a fetus, rights of same-sex couples, including the right to marry, right to procreation, contraception, general family relationships, etc. Apart from Article 21, they have also said that the Special Marriage Act discriminates against same-sex couples on the ground only of their choice of marital partner. So they essentially say that this is discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, which is of course impermissible under Article 15. Now, Article 15 bars discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. In the Navteej Singh Johar judgment, the Supreme Court had recognized that discrimination solely on the basis of sexual orientation is also barred under Article 15. Additionally, the petition now says that Article 19(1)(a), which guarantees the freedom of speech and expression, should include the expression through choice of a partner. Similarly, two other petitions demanding a declaration that the Hindu Marriage Act and the Foreign Marriage Act does not distinguish between homosexual and heterosexual couples, and they also ask the court to recognize the right of same-sex couples to marry. Now, so far, the central government has not filed any response to the petitions, so the High Court granted it one last opportunity to file its response. The provision that criminalized adultery was struck down by the Supreme Court back in 2018. But the central government has now told the Supreme Court that it wants adultery to stay criminalized for the armed forces. So my next KYC episode is about the centre's logic for this request and the constitutional provision that the government is citing to support its argument. Now, essentially, Section 497 of the Indian Penal Code made it an offence for a man to have sexual intercourse with a married woman without the husband's consent. This was punishable with a maximum imprisonment of 5 years. But Section 497 did not apply to a situation in which the married man engaged in sexual intercourse with an unmarried woman. It also exempted women from prosecution. Now, this provision was declared unconstitutional back in 2018, like I told you before, when the Supreme Court ruled that the 19th century law treats women as a man's property and totally subservient to the will of the master. It asserted that the provision violates various constitutional rights, including Article 14, as it was arbitrary, and Article 21, which guarantees the right to life and personal liberty. But the central government has now filed an application on behalf of the Ministry of Defence in the Supreme Court. Now, the Army Act, Air Force Act, and the Navy Act, all three make unbecoming conduct and violation of good order and discipline punishable acts. Adultery is considered punishable under these provisions of the three laws. So the center has now basically said that any promiscuous or adulterous acts by the army, navy or air force personnel should still be offences for which, say, criminal or disciplinary action can still be taken against them under the three laws that I mentioned earlier. Now the application says that under service rules, personnel can be cashiered from service on the ground of unbecoming conduct for committing adultery with, say, a colleague's wife. So the application asserts that the judgment may cause instability within the Indian Army, Indian Navy and the Indian Air Force. Since defense personnel have to stay away from their families for long durations, the application says that because of the judgment, they will always be worried about the family indulging in untoward activities. The center's application also points out that unlike Section 497, the armed forces do not discriminate between male and female personnel when it comes to dealing with acts of adultery. Now notably, the center has heavily relied on Article 33 of the Constitution to support its argument. Article 33 basically says that the central government can make laws to restrict the fundamental rights from being fully applicable to members of the armed forces, those responsible for maintenance of public order, or employees of intelligence and counterintelligence bureaus. This, the article says, is to ensure that they discharge their duties properly and for maintenance of discipline among them. So, for instance, in a 2016 judgment, the Supreme Court upheld the Air Force policy which made it compulsory for members to shave their beards, citing Article 33. So in this case, the court had been approached by a Muslim soldier who wished to keep his beard on religious grounds. Therefore, in its application, the center has now submitted that this article, that is Article 33, protects the provisions of the Army Act, the Navy Act and the Air Force Act from being declared unconstitutional just on the ground that they violate fundamental rights. So essentially, the center asserts that promiscuous or adulterous acts by defense personnel would still be offences for which either criminal or disciplinary action could be initiated under the three laws on the basis that these are acts of misconduct. Aadhaar was in the news again this week, this time because the Supreme Court dismissed review petitions against its judgment upholding the constitutional validity of the Aadhaar Act. But the entire case is a little more complicated than that. So in the next KYC episode, I explain to you what has happened in the case so far and why there is more to look forward to in the Aadhaar story. Now, it is Article 137 of the Constitution that says that the Supreme Court can review any of its judgments or orders. But this is different from an appeal because in a review petition, the court cannot take a fresh stock of the case. So, for instance, in a 2013 case, the court explained that a verdict can be reviewed only when, say, there is some new important evidence that the petitioner did not know about earlier or could not produce earlier, or say when there has been a mistake or an error apparent on the face of the record, which basically means an error so obvious that it can be spotted on merely looking at the record of the case without any long process to identify or reason it. I have done a more detailed video on review petitions earlier, so I'll add a link to that in the description. As for Aadhaar, in September 2018, a 5-judge bench had upheld the Aadhaar scheme, declaring it constitutional. The bench, with a 4:1 majority, held that Aadhaar did not violate the fundamental right to privacy, and it also said that there were enough safeguards in place to prevent Aadhaar from becoming a mass state surveillance scheme. But it did strike down some individual provisions. For example, it struck down mandatory linking of Aadhaar with bank accounts or SIM cards. And soon after the judgment, of course, review petitions were filed on several grounds, including questions such as whether the Aadhaar Act could have been passed as a money bill. Now, while review petitions were pending, things got a little more complicated back in 2019 when another 5-judge bench was hearing a completely unrelated case. This bench expressed doubts over the Aadhaar judgment's reasoning on the money bill issue, specifically on that issue. Now, this bench expressed doubts over the Aadhaar judgment's reasoning on the money bill issue. So, this 5-judge bench referred the question on the sort of bills that can be put in the category of money bills to a 7-judge bench. So, the validity of the Aadhaar Act on the money bill point is pending before a 7-judge bench, which hasn't even been constituted yet. But now, the review petitions have been dismissed. In both the judgments, that is the main Aadhaar verdict, the 2018 verdict, and the review petitions, it is Justice D.Y. Chandrachud who dissented. And Justice Chandrachud has said in his opinion in the review case that the court should have waited till the 7-judge bench decides on the question of certification of a bill as a money bill before the review petitions were actually decided. But of course, despite the review petitions having been rejected, the future of Aadhaar is still not set in stone because the 7-judge bench is yet to decide on the money bill issue. This is Apurva Mandhani for The Print. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.